can click all those little tags.
Hi, I'm Dan Smigrod, founder of the We Get Around Network Forum. I'm at SPAR 3D in Houston, Texas, and I'm in the Matterport booth. I'm visiting with Tomar, help me with your last name, Poran, and works in the AEC space. So, Tomar, great to see you.
Yeah.
Congratulations on your presentation yesterday.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Could you take us through, first at a high level, just simply talking about the benefits of Matterport in the AEC space?
Sure. So I would say we're looking at three major areas in terms of our benefits that we're providing our users, kind of all across the AEC spectrum, from architects to engineers to general contractors, as well as owner-operators on the facilities management side. So it really starts with pre-construction. We're able to now export a point cloud, an XYZ format point cloud that can be easily brought into Revit, usually through Recap, so as an RCP file into Revit. And for tight areas, our accuracy is actually good enough to create great as-builts. And that's been used by engineering firms from large ones as big as Arup to small ones as small as one-man engineering shops that are doing boiler refurbishing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one end. Also on the pre-construction side, we're used this for bidding, right? So customers will go scan the site that's undergoing renovation or going to go a fit out and hand it over to subcontractors or GCs that are bidding on it to improve the bidding life cycle. So shorten it, tighten the bids and things like that. During construction, we're seeing a lot of usage by general contractors. So general contractors will go and document construction as it's happening, sometimes every 2 weeks, sometimes in big milestones, right? So before a drywall goes up, after a concrete pour, before electrical comes in. So just to have as both liability and to use for dispute resolution afterwards. And it's a great tool to kind of keep for 15 years going forward. Anything happens down the line, you have that, right? And we provide that hosting, as you know. And then finally in project closeout, which is getting a lot of popularity, and I talked about it, and I can actually show you over here.
Thank you.
How it looks. So this is a classic closeout model, and what they've done with this is a pump room, right? And what they've done with this pump room, this customer specifically has gone and tagged everything with operation manuals, spec sheet data, installation instructions, and pretty much anything that now they have a URL. The dependency on the facility manager goes down. The ease of someone coming in to service this pump room is significantly increased by the fact that he has all the data and all the information.
Mm-hmm. So we often talk in the forum about opportunities that in the real estate space about helping a real estate agent win more listings, win bigger listings, win more and bigger listings more often. Where is follow the money in the AEC space to help generate revenue?
It's not necessarily generating revenue. It could be cost saving in the AEC space, right? The alternatives in the AEC space are sometimes more costly. And
let me pick up on that for a moment, because in your presentation yesterday. Yeah, we're recording right now. It's a 360 video. If you can just bear with us a moment. In your presentation yesterday, you were talking about, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second. The documentation, about how Matterport could save 95% of the cost on documentation. Using a third-party solution that comes in and takes hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of photos, or using Matterport.
Or using it yourself with photos, right? So it's not only, we see it not only as a cost saving necessarily, but also as a better solution than 50,000 photographs over the course of a project. We definitely know that owners like to receive a finished model of all their site, 100,000 square feet, 12 times throughout a site versus...
Have you seen any clients that are using Matterport instead of the hundreds of photos, or in addition to?
Well, pretty much everyone who uses this for documentation did something else before. So lots of them.
Still doing that, haven't necessarily replaced that, but maybe at some point.
No, some of them have replaced
replaced
it.
Yeah,
some of them are doing it in addition, because they say, well, do daily photographs with phones, but monthly or bi-monthly scans with Matterport.
Yeah. So in terms of architects, our members of our community, Matterport Pro photographers, when they're talking to an architect, what are the three things that you would emphasize?
I would definitely say something that works for a lot of our architecture clients is, and if you're looking for that, win more listings line with architects, it's never miss a measurement, never miss a photo. Architects end up going back and forth on site, missing a measurement, missing a photo, needing to visualize the space again. Their offices can be hours away from the site, sometimes a plane ride. So for them to be able to go in, or their surveyor to be able to go in, scan the space with this, and then bring it back to the office, it's like they're designing on site, which is an ideal situation.
Yeah, and that's using the point cloud to actually do the measurements as opposed to workshop?
It really depends, right? So some architects will use just the visuals, some will use it for conceptual understanding of the measurements, some will actually use the dimensions. It depends on what they're designing, and it depends on the type of space, right? And that's kind of what I tried to emphasize in the meeting yesterday, using our point cloud data. It takes knowing our tool, knowing the strengths, knowing the weaknesses, asking what am I scanning, and then what am I dealing with, right? If you're scanning a mechanical room, we've tested it against a Faro and seen that we can get within an inch, definitely, sometimes even half an inch. Scanning a conference room this big, obviously we'll be maybe a foot or two off on that wall to wall.
Yes.
But if I'm just going around and wanting to check that I've made all the booths 10 feet, like I promised all my vendors, I'll get really good measurement on that 10 feet, right? So is this the environment to get an as-built for Matterport? Not necessarily. Can you still use measurements gained in Matterport? Certainly.
And if a Matterport Pro is going in to visit with a construction firm, is the primary use case related to renovation or not necessarily?
No, general contractors, I would say the primary use, they love the dimensional aspect of it. They love the field office coordination in the office. If they just want to see overheads, if equipment can fit because it's coming in the next day, they can see that pretty accurately with ad hoc measuring on the workshop. But the primary use there is the documentation side. Documentation for communication, documentation for dispute resolution, liability, all that. That's definitely a bigger use case on the GC side.
Yes, and thank you. And what do engineers get excited about? Again,
engineers like the architects. They like the measuring aspect of it. They like the point clouds. They actually like it for both reasons. So they're, I guess, kind of in the middle between the architects and general contractors. They like having it for project closeout. The project I showed you here, that's an engineering contractor, right? A MEP contractor.
Yeah.
So they like that project closeout aspect of it. They like going in. I've heard some of them say, this is my insurance policy. I get in to the job site. First thing I do is scan with Matterport. And now this is the situation that was when I got here, right? So they use that for any kind of dispute down the road. They literally say, this is my insurance policy. And the case study that I talked about with a boiler room retrofit, that was an engineering firm using our point cloud to do an as-built, right? We talked to a lot of engineering firms that will tell us on projects that are sub 50K, sub 70K, I will use a Matterport because it doesn't justify a laser scan. And it's much more effective than manually measuring. Of course, considering, again, the limitations of the tool, the space, and what they're trying to do, right? If it's very tight piping and they want to do clash detection, not the right tool for that. If they want to just fit out a new boiler for the boiler room, it's good enough for that, right? So, again, going back to that, what are you doing? What are you scanning?
Terrific. Any questions I haven't asked you in the AEC space that you feel like?
Yeah, I think generally for your users, we're seeing a great surge not only in interest in our camera, but a great surge for the data that Matterport can deliver to the AEC industry. We're out here talking. Yesterday was an amazing day. Last week we were in Groundbreak, the construction, more general contractors. We're getting an immense amount of interest. And this is an industry which I think likes services, right? There's less chance of an engineering firm going out and getting a service done by a service provider and saying, well, I think I'll buy that myself. A lot of times because these guys are used to getting services, they like getting services. And we have 150 people come by, drop a card, and say this is amazing. Ultimately, not all of them buy, and a huge part of that is that people say, well, buying a camera, training someone, staffing someone, it's not like the real estate industry in that respect. So I think there's lots of room for service providers in this industry.
Terrific. So what we've been hearing from Tomar is Tomar.
Yeah, Tomer.
Tomer. Forgive me. I'll get it right.
No problem.
Again, as a Matterport service provider, and if you're servicing the real estate, residential, commercial real estate, it's a great opportunity to think about architects, engineers, construction that's referred to as AEC. It's a whole nother opportunity for you to make more money and help your clients succeed in what they're trying to accomplish. So I've been speaking with Tomer. Thank you. Sorry,
yeah, no
Tomer. We're at SPAR 3D 2017. I'm Dan Smigrod for the WGAN-TV. Thanks so much, Tomer.
No
Appreciate
problem.
it.